Thanks for stopping by, guys, and welcome back to GearBlocks for the second in my series of adding engines to the stock vehicles in the game. This is the Three-Vee-Vee-Two, which is a rebuild of the in-game Three-Vee. And of course, if the name didn't give it away, using a large block V2 engine. Now this one's honestly simple, especially in comparison to the last one I did, which was the tractor. It is a hand crank into... This one actually uses a clutch gear for the hand crank. That way, when you get it started, holding G, the hand crank will actually come to a complete stop. That just ran up to some gears that turns the engine over, as well as with the alternator. This is fully functional with resources on, or energy consumption on, I should say. The alternator actually disconnects to remove some of the load, because even though it's not a whole lot, it was actually enough to prevent the hand crank from starting it. So, while you're cranking the engine with a hand crank, the alternator disengages. Once the engine starts, alternator engages. You produce power for the vehicle. That goes back into a centrifugal clutch. And then this is where things start happening with the actual transmission. On one side of a clutch, there is a system that breaks off into the reverse gear. So whenever you click onto the reverse gear with R, you will disengage the entire transmission and only activate a separate clutch gear that runs the reverse. So long as reverse is disabled, goes through a clutch, goes into two clutch gears for a high-low transmission, runs back, and at this point you have the parking brake and pretty much the drivetrain as it was in the Three-Vee originally. The only major modifications that I've actually done to this was I tweaked the front end a lot so it actually works well at the speeds this thing will drive at. Added the engine, added all of the supporting stuff like the batteries, the fuel tank, and added, if I hop in here, a little bit of a dash. That way you can see when you have the parking brake off, the drive light turns on. When you're in first gear, this light is off. When you're in second, this light is on. And whenever you have reverse on, that light turns on. Now, reverse will override whatever gear you're in, so I'm in reverse. And if I turn reverse off, turn that off, I'm in first. First is good up to about 95. At which point I will shift, but I'm probably going to run out of room here. Yep. And the top speed for this is somewhere around 215. However, it's very unlikely you'll actually reach that. The acceleration of this vehicle is okay, but not anything too particularly special. So as we just drive this around, it works really well. Unfortunately, due to the fact that this is just a three-wheeler, it is not very stable on the corners, so I had to make the front wheels very capable of slipping out. So while you can reach top speeds, you can't turn at anything above like 50 or 60. You will really struggle to keep it through these corners if you do. That being said, drives really well, accelerates really well, has all the functionality you need for just a normal car. And in comparison to the tractor, it's extremely simple. That flywheel starter that I did for the tractor was just extremely complex, overly so, honestly. But this one, because it is a two-cylinder, I was able to turn over with just a normal hand crank. Whoop! That's rare, actually getting it up on two wheels. I'm not driving this very well, am I? Yeah. The only other thing that I can actually add that's like special about this vehicle is, even though it is a hand crank start, because you can operate the hand crank from anywhere, you can also use it whilst you're sitting in the seat. So if you're like me and constantly forget that you made the car a hand crank, you can just operate it like it's a normal starter. It just takes a little bit longer to get going. Yeah. There's not much else to say. These are just kind of simple, fun builds that I've been wanting to do on stream and show them off afterwards. Because they are using the chassis from the kind of preview vehicles, I'm not doing much work with that, and there's really nothing to show that isn't already a part of the default vehicles in game. We're good. There's nothing a part of them that isn't already a part of the normal vehicles in game. It's mostly just tweaking values for steering and suspension to handle some of the added weight. Oh no. I'm doing a really bad job at showing this off. So I'm gonna get this up to its top speed just for one last fun little thing, but I am gonna be ending it here. This is short little video, short little look. In the next video, I will have something special to show, and that's kind of why I'm rushing this one along a little bit faster than the others. So let's get us up to top speed, see if we can get to 215 or if we hit the wall first. I actually don't know how far away the wall is on this map. Hear the engine screaming. And there it is, 216, the engine cut out. So, I'm going to end it here. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sticking around. Until next time. Peace. There's the wall.